China #1.
How is it going, guys? Slippery Jim here. Welcome to some Playerunknown Battlegrounds action. In this game, I'm playing a solo game. This is from a week ago. I did get a win in this game, and I got it not through like destroying everyone with tons of kills, but through stealth gameplay. In fact, the entire game, what was remarkable about this one is I went completely undetected. It doesn't mean I didn't get any kills, as you'll see later, but absolutely no other player actually ever saw me this entire game, which is pretty awesome, I thought. So anyway, basically, I'm going to be explaining the ins and outs of this game, how to play it, what all the equipment does, what weapons. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but just basic gameplay elements and tactics that work for me as well to be successful. And at the moment, I can get into the top 10 solo playing Battlegrounds almost every single game. Like, it is pretty easy. Winning is still a challenge because there are a lot of, you could say, random elements that happen that you can't really control very much, but it is very much a skill-based game as well. So anyway, basically how Battle Royale works and how Battlegrounds works, because it is a Battle Royale style of game, is you are either yourself if you're playing solo or your squad have basically got to be the last person standing. So everyone else has to die so that you can be the last person left alive in order to win. Now, you can obviously do that by killing other players or just outlasting everyone. Generally, you're going to have to kill some players in order to survive. So think of the Hunger Games if you're into that movie. It's sort of like that concept. A whole bunch of people are dropped from a plane. You can select where you decide to drop and then parachute down from there. But then it's basically everyone for themselves. Now, there are a couple of gameplay elements that are introduced as well to keep people moving and to force them into conflict. And the main one is the circle. So after, you can see here there's a timer, which is like at about 4.5 minutes right now. Bottom right of the screen above the map, and we're just obviously looking around, looting, trying to find some weapons, trying to find some ammo, trying to find helmets, trying to find body armor, all of that stuff, med kits and first aid stuff as well. Here at the target range, which is north of the main map. Anyway, so basically what happens when that timer ticks down to 0, what will happen is there will be a big blue circle that will start closing in around a smaller white circle, and that will be located in a random location of the map. You have to be inside the white circle or you will take a lot of damage from being outside of the white circle. So basically you have to keep moving towards the center of the circle, and it will move periodically. So to start with, if you're outside the circle, it doesn't do very much damage, but the less players alive, the more damage it does, almost to the point where you're in the last 10 alive, where it is almost going to kill you within like a few seconds if you're outside that circle. So that's the basic one of the basic conditions of the game is keeping within that circle, which gets smaller and smaller as the game goes on until it completely disappears. That's right. So some people wonder what happens if, how small does the circle end up getting? Well, it completely disappears. That's how small it gets. So yeah, you want to make sure you've taken out the other players by that point. I heard one story where, believe it or not, the final circle was in the middle of one of the bridges in the map. 2 players were underneath the bridge in the water within that circle, and the other player, the enemy player, was on the top of the bridge within the circle. Neither of them could kill each other because they were obviously stuck in the middle of the bridge. And what happened was the circle completely disappeared. One of the guys left underneath the bridge took a med kit, which is the best medical item in the game and heals you to 100%. So he timed it so that it healed him just after the final circle disappeared, and so he won the game by default because everyone else died due to being outside of the non-existent circle. So anyway, yeah, that's what happens when the circle gets too small. It disappears. The other things that happen, occasionally there'll be like a big kind of a red circle will appear on the map, and if you're within that red circle, you have the risk of getting destroyed by explosions. So that's not too much to worry about, because I've never been killed by one of those explosions yet. But if you are worried, you can go inside, like indoors, to be protected from that. And here I get lucky and I found the level 3 helmet, which is the best helmet in the game. There's level 1, 2, and 3 helmets, and level 1, 2, and 3 backpacks, level 1, 2, and 3 body armor, and level 3 is the best tier of those. So just looting around this little mini bunker here near the target range right now, trying to get some more gear together. So once you get the weapons that you're after, that you probably want to settle on for the game, you want to make sure you've got your helmet, your body armor is good, and then you want to make sure you've got plenty of meds stocked up, because you're definitely going to need them for various reasons, either getting shot by other players where you need to heal up. You can take damage from falling, you can take damage from the circle if you're outside it at any point. You can take damage by, accidentally going over a large bump in the car or something like that. So yeah, there's a number of things that you might need the med kits for, and the scenario I described before could win the game for you if you have enough first aid items. So with the first aid items, and I'm just checking the circle here, because it turns out that the first circle is going to be way down to the southwest of the map. So I'm definitely going to have to need to get in a car, but fortunately I have found a car just up the road from this location, so I'll be able to get into that. There's a level 2 vest there, and make our way down south so we get inside the circle before we get fried. The first circle though doesn't really hurt too much, and it moves pretty slowly, so you got a fair bit of time. You really want to spend as much time as you can getting enough stuff by looting. Right now the weapons that I've got the M416, it's called in the game. And it's probably the best assault rifle along with the SCAR. You can put a lot of attachments on it. It's very accurate. It's got an auto fire mode. It's a very good gun. There are better guns, like some of the sniper rifles that you can find are pretty awesome, but some of the guns can only be found inside the supply drops that happen every now and then. That can be quite risky to actually go and loot, but they have, like, the only LMG in the game is only found in the supply drop. There's also a pretty cool Thompson with a drum magazine, and the AWM, probably the most powerful gun in the game, which is a sniper, an M24 sniper, stuff like that. Adrenaline syringes, and you can often find tier 3 helmets or flak vests inside those supply drops as well. But we're getting some pretty good gear from looting here in this top end of the map. As you drop out of the plane, you really want to choose an area where a lot of players are not going to be located, so you can get all your gear nice and safe, and then start worrying about taking out other players and getting into the circle. So we're going to head up to the vehicle across the road here, and we're going to take that and head on down southwest towards where the circle is located right now. This particular game was a rainy game, so you can see how far I've got to travel. Quite a long way, actually. We've got to get across the river, we've got to get all the way down, and right now you can see there's like an exclamation point and like a blue bar above the map, and that indicates that the blue circle is closing in. So basically that big blue circle on the outside the white circle is going to close into the white circle, and when that happens, it will reset and show you where the next white circle, which is going to be smaller, is going to be located. So I decided I've got enough time to maybe loot this place. So people do camp in here sometimes. Pretty unlikely with the circle closing in like this, but you never know. So I check the windows, go around the back, some of those sort of things to be safe. I think that's a pistol suppressor, so I didn't pick that up. And there's actually not a lot of loot in here anyway. It's good to pick up the grenades, because sometimes they'll make the difference if you're in a sticky situation towards the end where people are hiding behind trees and stuff like that. There's a few different vehicles in the game. This particular vehicle is not the best. It's very slow compared to the fastest vehicle, the Dacia. It can topple over pretty easily. It's got no cover in the form of a roof. There's pretty much not a lot going for this particular vehicle except for the fact that it can hold 4 players if you're playing a squad game. So you can see I'm outside the circle with the blue circle right now that's moving in towards the white circle. And that's why I'm taking a little bit of damage right now, but not too much because there's still like 48 players left. So we just managed to get inside it again. And there's another player driving in front of me there. He just keeps going off to the west there. It's pretty difficult solo because you can't actually shoot at them unless you're in a passenger seat. So if you're driving the car, you can't really do much except note their position and try and use that to your advantage. So I don't think he even saw me. He just kept going. So what do I like to do? Some players, some particularly new players, tend to go into the middle of the white circle and like try and find a good hiding spot. But that's not the best tactic in my opinion. Sometimes you can get lucky doing that if the circle doesn't move. But usually you're best to come from the outside of the circle. And I like to save my runs from outside the circle to the last moment to get inside the edge of the white circle. And here I actually run out of fuel. So I have to run the last little bit, which is in this case only about 20 meters or so to get inside the white circle. I didn't take too much damage. I've got plenty of meds, so I know I'm not going to be too worried about that little bit of damage that we took there. But as we get later into the game, you definitely want to be more careful about staying inside of the EMP field. Now I'm taking another energy drink here, so I'll explain what these energy drink boosts actually do. So you can get the boost effect from energy drinks or painkillers at the moment in the game, and it's the level of boost is indicated by the thin orange bar just above the white health bar at the bottom of the screen there. And you can see right now mine is on like 1.5 sections of that orange bar. So basically what that does for you is increases your healing over time for the first 2 sections of that orange bar. So you can see we got the little plus indicator. That's what that indicates. Once you get over into the third bar, so in other words more than 50% boost, what that does for you is it increases your movement speed. And also when you get over 80%, so in other words, I believe if you get to the full boost into that last little section there of that orange bar, you actually get increased accuracy with your gun. So it's pretty awesome actually if you actually manage to boost yourself. But unfortunately at the moment the effect wears off very, very quickly, so it's hard to stay at full boost for very long. Okay, so anyway, we are basically still looting as we go, but we're moving towards the center of the circle here, and we're down to 39 players left alive. So less than 50%, and we're nearly at the edge of the circle. So like I said, my strategy is basically to stay around the edges of the circle and just slowly choose the correct moment to move in inside the white circle, because that way you've got less chance of players being behind you, and it limits the direction of enemy players, the areas where they could be located, to directly in front of you in about a 180 degrees field. Whereas if you go to the center of the big white circle and just wait there, you're going to have 360 degrees where players can come at you from. So it's generally a bad idea. I mean, sometimes, yes, you can get lucky and just sit in a house in the center of the circle, early in the game, and the circle just happens to be around that house, and you win the game. But that is a very risky and very, very problematic strategy to use. So eventually, most players end up doing this. So keeping that in mind, though, sometimes because a lot of other players do the same thing, you will still get players waiting a little bit longer than you and then coming up behind you while you're trying to get into the circle and shooting you in the back. So anyway, you can never be 100% safe. So I just checked this little shack here and decide to wait in here for a little bit. We're just inside the white circle here, so I'm just going to wait until the blue circle closes into the white circle, and at that point the white circle will reset. So we'll work out where it's going to go, and then we'll move accordingly to get into that. So while I'm in here, I'm just checking through these top windows, trying to see if there's other players coming, especially from behind me, because if they do come from behind me, they might decide to hide in this shack as well. But I'm also looking around. There's some gunfire going off as well, a couple of areas, so just trying to take note of that. Keep mindful that there could be players in that direction. But we'll just wait a few seconds here until the circle updates, and then we'll move out of this spot. Now, it's always best, in my opinion, to try and shelter inside a building. These shacks are perfect for it, rather than just behind a tree where you could get spotted from an angle, or behind a rock or something like that. So some other places that are good to hide are in bushes, or like prone within thick bushes. But you got to remember too, a lot of players play this game with their quality settings like way down low, so that they can't see much grass, and so hiding in grass and stuff like that is not always the most effective against those players. And even if they don't have their quality settings down low, like from a long distance away, they can still see you because the grass doesn't render in. So it's always best to be inside something like this that can stop bullets as well. You always want to check these shacks though before you dive in and try and hide in one, because I've been in situations playing in a squad with where there's four players on your squad and everyone else is in a squad as well. And I've gone to hide in one of these little shacks, and when I step in the door, there's like 4 other players like huddled, crouched, hiding in the shack, and they just open up on me all at once and blast me to oblivion. So what I tend to do is I tend to like jump on the little box at the side of these shed things, and like then you can look in the window. And if you do see a player in one of these, you can always grenade them. You can also shoot through the doors, so you can shoot out the doors and chuck a grenade in if you need to. But now the circle has updated again, so we're just gonna wait. I usually wait, depending on how far away I am from the circle, I usually wait till I've got about a minute or so, unless it's a long way away, and then I start moving. If I'm really close to the next circle, then I might go at 30 seconds or something like that. If you go too early, that's where you have players spotting you and shooting you. If you go too late, you get burned by the EMP field. So, but right now there's still 30 players, 29 other players left alive in the game. So, just feeling that itchy feeling between my shoulder blades, where you're expecting a bullet at any moment running out in the open like this, but you have no choice. You've got to get inside that circle. A lot of players tend to camp on the top of the hills as well, for some reason. But I'm just going to keep moving in this direction, scanning around the horizon as I go, and trying to watch for other players. Try and keep close to areas of cover if there are things like trees, boulders, or buildings. And try and keep moving as well, because sometimes if you stop to look around, you just get headshotted out of nowhere. Whereas if you move and it's a difficult shot, sometimes people decide it's better to just let you go rather than give away their position. So just dropping down in the dips like this as well, where you're breaking the line of sight and stuff like that, is a really good idea. I'm a little bit cautious of crossing this road here because those double-story buildings, a lot of people do like camping in those. But eventually you got to risk it. So I just assume at this point that they've already vacated if they were in there. But there's a lot of psychology and tactics to this game, which is what I love. Like trying to think about things like where the path of the plane was originally, which is random every game, where players draw from, sort of indicates where there's more players and where there's less players, just due to the fact that they can't parachute all that far from the path of the plane. And then if you keep that in mind during the game, it can give you an idea of where players are going to be coming from and going to, and put yourself in their shoes. Like, if I was coming from this direction, where would I actually be hiding right now? Or where would I be trying to ambush players from? Which building would I have chosen? All that sort of stuff. Putting yourself in their shoes can help you make the right decisions yourself in terms of avoiding them or hiding from them. So in this case, I'm pretty cautious of the top end of the road there, that hill in particular. A lot of players go up there, and there's a few buildings in that direction as well. So staying as close as I can to the edge of the wall here, I noticed that little shack, another one of those little shacks across the road, is inside the circle. Nice and close to the edge of the circle as well, so I'm going to get in that. Because there's a lot of open land up ahead here, where you can be seen from a long distance away. And we can hear some gunshots going off as well up on the hill there. Tons of 9mm ammo here for my UMP, which is pretty sweet. That's one of the best things about that gun. Like, it's very good for close quarters. It's got a high rate of fire. It's very accurate. There's tons of ammo everywhere for it. Plus, sometimes you can get lucky and get a suppressor for it as well. So we're down to 22 players here. The circle is getting fairly small, but we've still got a long way to go to get to the end of the game here. And so far, although I did see that one car, I haven't seen a single other player yet. I've heard indications that they're in the vicinity, though. There's been a fair bit of gunfire going off, and that's just going to increase as we get closer and closer to everyone converging inside the circle. So we've got another shack up ahead here as well, but I'm going to have to keep going because the circle is like fair distance away this time. We've got a fair bit of time up our sleeve though, like 45 seconds right now, before the blue wall starts moving towards the white wall. And this is all open ground, so it's super dangerous to be out here right now. There's almost zero cover. There's just some scraggly little bushes, maybe a rock if I get lucky. So I decided to actually go prone just up ahead here because a lot of players don't look for prone players. They only look for running vertical players on the horizon. So sometimes just the fact that you're prone can be a factor where you can surprise them or avoid detection. And even though I'm not inside the circle yet, I know once I get closer to that circle, there's going to be other players moving into it as well. So we're just going to crawl the last little bit of the way with the time we have up our sleeve here. And I'm especially wary of the areas where the forest is, the players coming out of there, because players tend to like hiding behind trees and up on hills in this game. So I'm completely out in the open at this point, like super vulnerable if anyone spots me. But as you'll see a little bit later in this game, it can be incredibly hard to spot people who are relatively close to you if they are prone. And I'm wearing some pretty good camo there for this location of the map. At least my pants are fairly good camo. So we got some little shrubs up here. I decided to go into the shadows over here under this little tree where there's a bush. And just take a little bit of a look around now I'm inside, or I was inside the circle. We are going to have to move in a second here. And right here, coming from the right-hand side, just as I'm checking my map as well, we're going to see another player start to run across. And fortunately, I notice him here. He doesn't see me at all. He doesn't even turn around. So I just take him out with the M4 for our first kill of the game. And this can be risky, but because of the location that I'm in where I'm prone anyway, I'm going to actually see what he's got. And he's got a full med kit there, so I'm definitely going to take that. I don't have a lot of space here. I probably should have taken his backpack because he's got a level 2 backpack. But in any case, we got a lot of meds there, so that's pretty good. We should be okay. But I'm going to have to move pretty soon here, so I have to run because I've run out of time to get into the circle. Now this is really, really dangerous. There's 11 other enemy players out there somewhere, and the circle is really small at this point, so I'm going to try and get inside that circle before the wall hits me, because that's going to do a ton of damage. And I see another one of those little shacks. This is like the story of the shacks, this game. Because there wasn't a lot of other available cover. So I actually get in this one, and you know, so I check it first before I go inside it, because at this point it's almost every other shack is going to have a player in it at this point. And I have to be careful that other players don't try and come in here as well. So I'm just keeping a watch out these windows. But the other thing is, if you look at the map here, this shack is actually on the edge of where the circle is coming to. So I'm not even sure if this shack is going to be inside the circle or not when it finally closes. So I just have to cross my fingers, because otherwise I might have to get out of this shack and like move forward a little bit. But as it is, check out where the circle ends up going, guys. So I get in this tiny little corner here, and the circle actually closes up right here. And it's literally like this tiny little corner of this tiny little shack is the only safe place from the circle. So that was pretty awesome. And what this means is no one is going to be coming through that door, because everyone's going to be trying to get inside the white circle, which has moved already. And they're not going to think I'm in here either because of where the circle is. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'm fairly close to the next circle, but we'll probably wait till about the 30-second mark and then make a move for it. It's very unlikely I'll have any cover once we're inside the last couple of circles here. So you can see I'm getting burnt. Just by that brief bit of time, we lost like maybe 15-20% of our health. That's how deadly the circle is now, because of how few players are left alive. There's only 6 other players left alive at this stage. So I have no idea where they are. I'm just going to pop some energy drinks here to try and get that little bit of healing back. And that'll give me a bit of extra speed as well. You can see the little speed icon there. Now I'm thinking there might be a player in that shack there. So I got a grenade out ready to try that. But then I realized, well, he's not going to be in there because the circle's moved already. He won't have any time. So that's probably why the door was open in that shack. So at this point I'm like, where the hell am I going to go? There's a rock there, but there was a dead body next to the rock. So I didn't want to go over there because I'll probably get killed by whoever killed that player. So I decided to just go prone here next to this bank. You can hear the gunshots going off right now all over the place. Behind me somewhere, over to the right. Right behind me there. Sounds like there was someone over at that shack. And just like that, about 4 players got killed. 2 of them got killed because they were outside the zone. Got killed by the wall because they were moving too slowly. So it's just me and 1 other player. It's 1v1 right now. Now I'm going to pause the video at this point just to show you guys where this guy actually was and where he was moving to during this last bit of the game. So if we look over in the distance there, the tip of the arrow, you can just see a guy come out of those bushes. And if you keep watching in that area, he's actually going to go prone and like wriggle his way up way past this tree, pretty much opposite me here. And neither of us saw each other for a long, long time here. I actually thought that the last player was down where that tree is right in front of me now. Kind of just over the bank. So you'll see me throw a grenade or two in that direction, hoping to get lucky. Because that's where I heard some gunshots from before. But it's actually not where the player is at all. You can actually see him inching his way across over the other side of this clear bit of ground. So throwing that grenade, you'll actually see him react to it and twist around and look in that direction. So it actually distracted him. He didn't see where it came from. He just saw the explosion. So he's probably looking over in that direction, I imagine, trying to work out if there's someone over in that direction. And maybe that's why he didn't see me, because I'm in plain sight right now and I'm moving around a fair bit as well. But I didn't see him either. So I guess the prone position is quite well hidden. So I'll check another grenade over there. There's no one over there, but it does, again, it serves to distract him. And I'm just inching my way over there because the circle is closed in again. We're in a tiny little circle here. There's got to be another player around here somewhere. I'm thinking to myself, where the heck is he? Is he in those bushes? That's the only little bit of cover that I can imagine he might be in. I've got absolutely no cover except for a tiny little bank, which would only protect me from players to the right. But then eventually I finally am looking around to my left, even though I think that that's not where the player is going to be, because he would have seen me by now, surely. And I can see there's no one over here either. So he can't be there. Look how small the circle is right now, guys. It's tiny. And then I eventually have a look over to my left, because that's where the circle is. And I actually see him prone over there across this bare piece of ground, and to get that second kill for the win. There it goes, guys. Absolutely undetected stealth win. Only 2 kills, but it was still a pretty good game from the point of view of stealth playing the edge of the circle there. Hope you enjoyed this. Please remember to rate and comment. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Slippery Jim out.